Welcome, all my Washington brethren and sistren. I am your man and Washington football fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report as we continue to cover training camp for the Washington football team here on the LouieTeeNetwork. Thank you guys for joining me. It's Sunday, hat to the back, wine intact. Let's talk some Washington football training camp. Let's start with some news and notes and clean up some issues from yesterday. So yesterday, I thought I made something really clear, but I guess I did not. So I want to go back and clean up something from yesterday. The Washington football team did release tight end Thaddeus Moss. They waived him, okay? Thought that we talked about this, and I thought I said this on the show, and I thought I was very clear. I know what Coach Rivera said, and I thought I explained what Rivera essentially said without saying it. But let me go ahead and rehash this because I was in the comment section, and I saw multiple people saying that the team didn't cut Thaddeus Moss. This is how this process works. They cut him, okay? They waived him with an injury settlement, with an injury designation, okay? That means he's now exposed to the rest of the league. They can put in a waiver claim for him. If no team does that, then the Washington football team is then free to bring him back and put him on IR, which is what essentially happened. I thought I explained that clearly, but I wanted to go back and make sure that everyone was on the same page with that. So yes, he was released, but he then was brought back after no one claimed him. Okay, so that bit of news. And so Rivera said he's been put on IR because he has been. But that's nor here nor there. He's still on the team, but he's not going to be any part of the team this year in 2020. So just keep that in mind. However, yesterday I also omitted something that I did want to talk about. Troy Apke still running with the ones. Okay, that's something that we had talked about. Sean Davis did drop an interception in practice yesterday, and I wanted to bring that up. I omitted that. I apologize for that. But we haven't talked a lot about Sean Davis because he hasn't been running with the ones as much as Troy Apke. But he did get some run yesterday, some opportunities. Didn't make the most of it, as I just mentioned. Didn't catch the interception that came to him. But nonetheless, he's a guy that's in the mix as well. So now let's get to a little bit of business for today. The Washington football team announced the release of wide receiver Cody Latimer. Not going to say that I'm surprised. Remember, I was the one that told you, and obviously the off-the-field issue that he encountered about 3 or 4 months ago had a huge part in him not making his football team. I had dismissed him from day one, and that probably wasn't the right thing to do. But I didn't think he was going to make this football team anyway. And when a lot of you had asked me, because the team signed him live, when I was on the air live, we found out that he got signed. And I told you, I kind of just dismissed it like, oh, okay, cool. Journeyman wide receiver, plays a lot of special teams. We'll see if he makes this football team. But I wasn't giving him that good of a chance. I wasn't giving him that big of a chance to make the football team in the first place. But now seeing how the roster looks, he probably would have had a legitimate shot at making his football team. But for whatever reason, all of the logistics of the off-field issues stemming from the charges that happened with the gun and the supposed molesting of his son, whatever the case may be. A lot of things going on. It hasn't been fully sorted out yet throughout the legal process. And so the Washington football team just kind of rid themselves of that issue and Cody Latimer. And so they're going to move forward with what they have. And so let's now talk about camp today in practice. And yesterday, we had talked about how practice didn't end well and how Rivera was very upset with the team, made it known that he was not happy with the intensity level waning towards the end of practice yesterday. And I talked about yesterday saying, hey, I'm interested to see how the guys respond to this. I was interested to see how a guy like Wes Martin was going to respond to being challenged in front of the team. And I wanted to see how the team as a whole would respond to Rivera calling them out and saying that wasn't good enough. Well, today's practice, the theme was intensity. And that's what pretty much took hold of this practice. And I think something that was a microcosm of the practice was Sean Dion Hamilton laying out J.D. McKissic on one particular play, which Rivera responded by telling him, hey, we don't do that, okay? We don't go after our own guys that way. But that was the kind of aggression that Rivera wanted to see, just not in the form of clotheslining one of your own teammates, okay? But he laid out J.D. McKissic as outlined by John Keim and J.P. Finley, so it was a big hit. Rivera wasn't happy about the hit itself because, again, had this taken place on the field against the opposition, they would have loved it. But the fact that it's your teammate, you don't want to hurt anybody out there. And so they chastised Sean Dion Hamilton for that. But that's the kind of intensity Rivera was looking for. He said that he was very pleased with the way practice went today. 3 hours of good, hard, clean, physical practice. And that's the way he wants it. They worked fast. Did a lot of good things, including Dwayne Haskins looking a lot sharper today. 2 touchdown passes in 2 separate drills to tight end Logan Thomas, who looked really good in practice today. One of a 20-yard variety and one from 4 yards out. So Logan Thomas starting to get acclimated to this offense, and Dwayne Haskins feeling a lot more comfortable getting him the football. Right now, Dwayne Haskins' favorite target, and this is no secret, and it should be because this is the guy he has the highest comfort level with, going all the way back to Ohio State, is, of course, Terry McLaurin, and he continues to make plays in camp as well. I've got an answer for you guys. We talked about this Thursday night, and we did not have a definitive answer as to who was back fielding punts, so I did some digging and some researching, and I found some answers for you guys as far as who's fielding punts in practice right now and who they have doing that. So they've got 3 guys right now handling the punt return duties as we speak. And so what that tells me is that either 2 or all 3 of these guys are going to make the football team, but 2 of these guys out of the 3 are going to make the team. And we know one of them is on the squad for sure. And I like to think there's another guy that I feel pretty confident in saying he's probably going to make the football team as well. The other guy is someone that we've talked about. I think his special teams prowess may win out, and he may ultimately end up on this roster as well. But the 3 guys that they have back on punts right now, Steven Sims, also Trey Quinn, as one of the super chatters and viewers mentioned on Thursday about Trey Quinn. And the third guy is someone else that was in the comment section, one of the viewers mentioned, Isaiah Wright. And I had forgotten all about Isaiah Wright and his ability to return punts. It's something that he did at Temple in college. So he is also back returning punts. So all 3 of those guys right now fielding punts. Don't know who's ahead of who and who they are kind of penciling in and earmarking as the guy that's going to handle those duties come the start of the season. But those are the 3 guys that they're taking a look at right now. We'll see what they ultimately decide to do with that position. So that's something else that I wanted to mention. Better day for the offensive line today. They've struggled a bit, but they had their moments today. The offense was a lot sharper today. They've struggled over the last few days. We've talked about that. And they're going to have their days where they're good. They're going to have their days when they're bad. And I've kind of tried to get you guys to warm up to that idea that this is a process and it's not going to happen overnight. Want to talk about a couple of guys on the side again. Obviously, Chase Young, another day, fully dressed, did not participate, but did work off to the side on the side field with the strength and conditioning coach. As you can see in one of the photos I have on the thumbnail, he's riding bikes with all the guys that are nursing injuries, including Sadiq Charles. So those guys still aren't practicing, looking to try to get those guys healthy enough to get back on the field and competing, especially Sadiq Charles. Obviously, this is valuable time that he's missing. The more and more days that he misses, the less and less likely he's going to be the starter come week 1. And at this point, I'm almost writing him off as the starter, and I'm pretty much penciling in Jaron Christian at this point because this is invaluable time that he continues to miss. And look, there's nothing he can do about it. You're hurt, you're hurt. You can't perform when you are injured. And so Jaron Christian getting all the first team reps, and again, he needs it just as much as Sadiq Charles does. And Sadiq doesn't know the offense, it's going to be tough for him to make up the ground that he's missing. This is a lot different than Logan Thomas missing the first 14 days of camp when there weren't any pads and helmets even on at the time. There wasn't much going on but walkthroughs at that point. You can get by on that, but once they put on the helmets and the pads, it's a lot tougher to miss days of practice because there's actually some things going on, and he's missing a lot of time. So Saahdiq Charles, to me, right now, is an afterthought at left tackle. I'd venture to say that on the depth chart when it is released, he'd probably be third string behind Cornelius Lucas at this point at left tackle. So I think it's going to be an uphill climb in his rookie season because of the time he missed. But we'll see what happens with Saahdiq Charles moving forward. But a lot of interesting takeaways from camp today. Love the response of the players to the coach challenging them yesterday, coming out with a sense of purpose and intensity today. Look forward to seeing these guys. And I'm hearing that Ronald Darby is playing really well at the cornerback position in this defense of Jack Del Rio's that fits him a lot better. Again, you're going to see a lot of cover three, a lot of keeping everything in front of you. And Darby has had some struggles with that, particularly in man-to-man coverage where he gets a little bit nosy. I think with this particular coverage, he gets to eyeball the quarterback, but he's also got to keep his eyes on his luggage. And I think they've emphasized that with him, and he's been performing better. Him and Terry McLaurin have been having some battles, apparently, at camp, and they have both been winning their fair share of these battles. So that's something else to keep an eye on. Another big note from camp today, Fab Moreau left camp with an injury. He returned back to the practice field after limping off the field on a deep pass that he was able to break up. However, got up limping on the play, was escorted off the field, came back with a wrap on his thigh. So that's something to keep an eye on. Hopefully it's just a minor tweak of something, and he'll only be out of practice and out of the limelight a few days before he's able to get back on the field. But that was one of the bigger takeaways from practice. Fab Moreau did injure himself. Do not know the extent of that injury, but it does not seem that it is that serious. We'll keep our eyes and ears peeled as we learn more about that situation. So that's camp in a nutshell. Today, I do want to mention this as well, and I'm going to do a video on this, but Earl Thomas was released by the Baltimore Ravens. I had someone hit me up on Twitter. My man Gregory hit me up on Twitter and said, hey, we should go after Earl Thomas. I know they're trotting Troy Apke out there with the ones, but Earl Thomas is a massive upgrade. Let me stop you right there. Number one, I shut him down. But I didn't shut him down for this reason that I'm about to give you, but this is the reason that it would never happen. Earl Thomas doesn't want to come here, okay? Earl Thomas has said all along he wanted to go to Dallas. Dallas didn't have the money at the time when he was a free agent. Now the Cowboys do have a little bit of cap space after cutting Gerald McCoy and restructuring the deal of one of their offensive linemen. They're in a much better position now to be able to afford the services of an Earl Thomas than they were when he was a free agent last offseason. That being said, I want no parts of Earl Thomas, and he doesn't want any parts of us. Much like when Jamal Adams was available for trade, he made a list of teams that he was willing to go to. The same thing can be said for Earl Thomas. He doesn't want to come to the Washington football team. We're in a rebuilding mode right now. He's not looking to rebuild anything. He's trying to win right away. So he's not coming here. He doesn't want to come here. And I don't blame him. So that's number one. Number two, I don't want him here. He's 31 years old. He's arguably coming off of one of his worst seasons in his career. He's on the downside of his career. And in case you haven't been paying attention, the last 2 out of 3 years, he's had an ugly divorce from his team. Remember the middle finger as he's being carted off in Arizona to Pete Carroll? All right, that was the last image you saw of him in Seattle. That was an ugly divorce. Then he goes to Baltimore, has one season there, has a blow up with a teammate on the sideline during the season, has another blow up now in camp where he gets in a fist fight and punches his teammate in the face because Earl Thomas blew a coverage in practice. His teammate was pissed. He took his helmet off, and Earl Thomas took umbrage to that and went and punched him in the face, and they dismissed him. Okay, so this is a guy that's a malcontent. He's got issues off the field, got some baby mama drama and stuff like that. His wife was about to kill him. All right, he's got enough issues. We don't need that kind of drama in our locker room. So let me just go ahead and kill all of that and deaden that noise right now before it starts to rise to some sort of crescendo. We don't need Earl Thomas. We're good. We're a young football team. We're going to go with the guys that we've got. We're going to see who can play, who can't, and we'll keep it moving. Earl Thomas isn't where this team is in the timeline that we've set. He's 31. He wants to win now. We're a young football team trying to learn how to win. Those two things don't jibe. And oh, by the way, he's not the kind of guy we want in our locker room. So I just wanted to put that to bed before you even tried to get out of bed with that one. So with that being said, I am a Washington football fan. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington football team. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, it's Sunday. My hat's to the back. Wine is intact. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will continue to talk about this team. If more information and news breaks, you'll see this face all up in your space. But until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. If more camp information comes out that I deem pertinent, I'll be back with another show. If not, you'll see me sometime before Thursday when we go live again to talk about this football team. But until then, you guys take care and have a good one. Cheers. LouieTeeNetwork.